All right, it is Hello Again Wednesday. This is episode number 87. It's titled Steep Incline. And we're just going to talk about a few things that happened with me this past weekend as we get into this episode. So glad that you guys could join me as you do each and every Wednesday. Um, as my special guest. And so I'm so grateful that you have decided to follow me on Facebook and make sure that you know when I'm on live or catch me later on Facebook. Also, if you're checking me out on my YouTube channel, it's Brent Miller, What's on His Mind, and I upload these videos week after week, so you can check those out there and catch up on some of the ones that you've missed out on. I also bumped this on over to our church website where I pastor at culvercitychurchofgod.org. And I know that I'm also being followed on Rumble. And so you can see me on Rumble. I think it's Brent Miller 051 or something like that, but you'll find it on Rumble. Look up some things that might say Hello Again Wednesdays, and you'll be able to check that out there. As always, please click the like, click the share button, click those notifications and those bells and whatever, the whistles, whatever you do to make sure that you are not only a part of this conversation with me, but you can get some of your other friends and family members to join in on the conversations we have week after week. With Hello Again Wednesday number 87, we are 13 episodes away from that 100th episode, which is going to be a 1 hour special, 1 hour long. And I'm actually going to do it later on in the afternoon so that those in the Midwest and East Coast and worldwide can jump in on a live feed to where we can have conversation face to face. I'm going to rig it up with a Zoom so that we can all see each other with your cameras and stuff like that. And we can join in on that very special 100th episode that's going to be really great celebration and kind of exciting. I look forward to that face-to-face interaction. Today, question of the day. What is the tallest, the longest, the steepest thing that you have ever encountered? And I'll take all kinds of thought processes with that kind of level, like what is your greatest obstacle that you had to overcome. This past weekend, we took some kids up to Palomar Mountain. And so we had to go up there. I actually was a character Moses with doing a whole bunch of stories. And so, but just a bunch of stories that went along with the time of Moses, from battles to water to Ten Commandments, all kinds of stories that we did throughout the weekend with these younger kids. And so, but I'll tell you what, to get to this camp, which is on the top of Palomar Mountain, you had to go well over 5,000 feet up the mountain. And so, and it is a windy road. And it was just kind of enjoyable to hear the kids as they determined who was on the edge side. And I'm like, the edge in my head, I'm like, the edge side. Yeah, that's the side that is closest to the edge of the side of the mountain. They would be the first ones that would go over the edge if we were to go over the edge. And so that was the discussion as I'm going up this mountain. And the thing is when we left LA to drive down to Palomar Mountain, it's far down toward right by Oceanside. And so you're driving way down there and down by Temecula. And to get to it, we had so much traffic and there were so many accidents. It was taking us forever to get down this highway to get to the mountain, just to get to the mountain. And once you get to the mountain, it's almost 20 minutes or more up the mountain to go up this windy road. And so by the time we made it to Palomar Mountain, we were supposed to be there well in advance to set up and do some things, and we were going to get there right at the time that it started the event. So I am racing up this windy road as kids are sliding around and having some fun, and like I said, laughing at the edge and stuff like that. And so that was a huge mountain we had to go up. That was super steep. I mean, from the bottom to the top, your vehicle is just grinding its way up there, and all of that, and just some laughter. And of course, as a driver, my biggest fear is making sure no one gets sick in the vehicle. That would be disappointing. But you also learn that when you go up something that steep, that sometimes you have these difficulties of, first of all, the oxygen level, it diminishes. And so it's a lot harder to breathe that high up, especially for us that are on the coast. We're used to that sea level. And so it is a little bit hard to breathe. And where this camp is, everything was on the side of the mountain. So you parked right here. You walked down this steep grade to your we call them a cabin, but it was kind of like a dormitory. And so we had where your 8 or 10 or 12 kids can be in this one this big huge room. And so we walked down to that. Then you had to walk down to the cafeteria. Then you had to walk down to the room where we did the conferences or the storytelling time and the crafts and the games. And then if you wanted to go to the zip line, that was down another portion of the mountain. Or if you wanted to go to basketball, that was down another portion of the mountain. If you wanted to go to the pool, that was down farther down the mountain. If you wanted to do archery, was down the mountain, or shotguns was down the mountain, or we did a campfire Saturday night, which was down the mountain. And so now you're talking about walking in the dark down the mountain. And guess what? Every time you got down the mountain to do any of these activities, guess what you had to do? You had to go back up the mountain. And so I had this gravity thing called weight. And so it was pretty rough going up and down the mountain. If you've ever had those kind of things with something so steep. And, I was telling people, I have not, I actually, just before camp, I was celebrating a 1 year anniversary for the first surgery I had on the top of my spine. And I still have not made it to the year for my second surgery, which was the major one. And so it was kind of rough. It's like this, knot in your back. And, anyways, I had to endure things in the steepness of this mountain. And one of the directors goes, man, Pastor Brent, how is it you're going so fast up there with those kids? And I go, you know what? You just block out the pain and you just go and you just keep doing it, and you will succeed in climbing that mountain, climbing that barrier. You know what? This past weekend, I noticed a friend of mine, he was visiting up in the Seattle area, I think, is how his stories were going. And I believe he bicycled. He was this cyclist group, and I think they went up 5,000 feet. And so as he's telling this story, I'm like, man, we drove up it. I don't think I would ever consider biking up the mountain like that. And so kudos to Chris, Chris Naya, who did that huge bike ride and accomplished what I would say is a great feat. It was kind of funny because at the end of his conversation or his little post, he was saying how he was going to rest from cycling, kind of like a recuperation. I also have friends from old high school days that do massive hikes, and they have some of the most beautiful shots of these hills that they're hiking on, and the sunrises and stuff like that. So you know what? When you're overcoming distance or overcoming certain things like in hikes like that, you'll find out that you'll see God's beauty, especially early in the morning like that. And so there's people that are doing stuff like that. I have friends that a friend over in the Phoenix area that joined a a tour group of the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, that would be really cool. But once again, with gravity and me, man, that's got to be kind of rough going up and down the steepness of that. I also know here in where we live on the very farthest side of LA. In fact, we touch so many of the suburbs. You have LA, Marina Del Rey, oh shoot, Culver City, and man, there's one. The church touches all three, and I can't even think. Mar Vista, and but we are just blocks away from Marina Del Rey, and where we live, and which is touches Culver City. And the reason I bring that up is because apparently in Culver City there is the Culver, they call it the Culver City Stairs, or they call it something. If someone can remind me of it, it is just a massive, massive flight of stairs up a steep hill. And so a lot of people go there to exercise by climbing these stairs and stuff like that. For me, it is a challenge. They call it the Culver City Stairs Challenge or something like that. It is a challenge that is not accepted by me yet. But I think about maybe doing it sometime, or at least checking it out. I think Boomer was saying, no, you know what, Dad, it's rough. It was rough for me or something like that. They've been on it. But at the same time, these are the same ones where we went on a hike up to Malibu Creek Canyon or something like that a couple of weeks back. And we were cheap, or I'm cheap. And so we parked outside of the state park, and then we hiked in. And so it was a longer walk than we thought to get to this place where the kids were going to jump into this creek, and because you can jump off the cliff rocks and stuff into it. And so it was a long way, and we had to go up over this ridge and then back down to get to where we wanted to go. And as we're doing this long hike, I noticed this one water tower, and we passed it, hiked around. And as we were coming back, I'm like, you know what? I was telling some of them that, what I'll do is I will ask if I can drive in for free and at least pick you guys up in the parking lot, and it'll be better. And so it was me, Boomer, and Jaden. And I go, you guys, I think there's a shortcut up this path right here that'll take us, it'll cut off half the hike. And so we're like, yeah, we'll do it. And so we start to trek up, and they kind of were ahead of me, and I just stayed that steady pace. And lo and behold, I was the winner to the top of the mountain, or the top of this humongous steep hill. And it did cut off half our hike. It was a great feat, a challenge that I had taken on and had overcome it. It does wear you out. And I'm sure, now, question of the day, I'm sure you guys have some stories of the tallest, the longest, the steepest things that you have encountered, or how you had to overcome them. I have relatives, I believe, that have hiked, was it Mount Fuji? Or I have relatives that have walked the Great Wall of China, which would be a feat in itself, And so I'm sure there's stories out there that people have of the things that they have done and have encountered. And I would love to hear your stories. I'd love to have you participate in writing your stories in the comments of what's the longest, tallest, steepest things you have encountered. Once again, thank you for watching here on Facebook. Be sure and click the like button, or if you ever dislike these, go ahead, put the frowny face on, or whatever it is, or cry face, or whatever. And go ahead and participate that way. If you do those things, man, let me know why. Go ahead and write it in the comments, so that I can either improve this or just to see what you guys have to say. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, Brent Miller, What's on His Mind, do the same thing. Click those likes, actually it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and then go ahead and leave your comments for what's taken place as we go through this together, as you as my special guest, as we inch our way, especially to that 100th episode, which is going to be a big shebang. And so literally you watch what happens when you join me on that day for that 100th episode. Make sure you ask others to be a participant. And so within the next couple of weeks, I think I'm going to start posting out that Zoom link so that you can join via Zoom on your phone or your tablet or your laptop or however you want to join me that special 100th episode. Now, in about 10 minutes maybe, we are going to be having our Bible study. I am actually downstairs in where we're going to have our Bible study in down below the sanctuaries upstairs, and we're downstairs for Bible study, and it starts at 2 p.m. out here on the West Coast. And so I got to get ready for that real quick. Do some flipping of the cameras, and because we do that via Zoom also, plus being in person. And if you've ever want to join our Bible study via Zoom or in person, Culver City Church of God here in Culver in the LA, or you can join via Zoom, and I will get you that link. We are going to do with Pastor Mark Esther chapter 2, or excuse me, Esther, the book of Esther, and we're probably going to finish up that story this week. We'll see how it goes. If you can't make our Bible study, why don't you check out a Bible believing church near you? Check out their Bible study, be a part of their group, join in on their conversation. Who knows, maybe you will hear a death-defying adventure or a great obstacle that has been overcome. And so you'll never know, or excuse me, you'll go ahead and see what takes place within their studies and have an enjoyable time with them. I'm so glad you joined me, and I look forward to seeing you next week on Hello Again Wednesday.